Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm Sree Iyer, your host, and with me is Sridhar Chityalaji. This is episode number 47 of Weekday News Capsule. Sridharji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar and good morning to all. And we look forward to another wonderful week coming up.
So let's start by looking at what is happening with the election results in the United States. Can you quickly walk us through various states as to what is happening? Because this is the most critical week, in my opinion. I could be wrong about it because December 14th is when everything needs to be wrapped up. What are your thoughts, sir, and where do things stand?
Great. So we'll start with Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin has called for a kind of a state hearing that's scheduled for December 11th in the Capitol. So they're one of the last states to get through this process. So we'll know what the Supreme Courts have all declined any alteration in the results. So they are following the due process in terms of hearing the complaints. As far as the Michigan is concerned, which is they are in the process of that forensic analysis that should get completed sometime today, and we should be having the results of the forensic results coming out of Michigan, and what flows from that would be interesting. As far as Pennsylvania is concerned, that there was Mike Kelly filing a litigation, and the legislature people waiting to elect to see what happens in the Supreme Court. So Sam Alito, the circuit court judge who is from Supreme Court, SCOTUS, who is from SCOTUS, has advanced the date, and he will hear the case, the response from the state to Mike Kelly's suit, 9 a.m. tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So I think it looks like Pennsylvania will have a quick hearing and then probably escalate to the SCOTUS. As far as Georgia is concerned, there was a major election rally by President over the weekend for the runoff races. And what we are seeing there in Georgia is they have declined pretty much everything, but they are doing the voter forensic analysis and limited voter audits in Georgia. So what comes out of that, we'll see, will be the next steps. As far as Nevada is concerned, pretty much everything is, they've heard everything and see if they've seen anything. They also had a limited duplicate sample voter list validation. Now, the Trump legal team has made a proposition, which is to say the initial results prove that there was results which should have been set aside but counted in favor of Biden. They believe that number to be north of 40,000. So should that be the case, then President Trump wins the election. So that's one stream of work that is going on. The other stream of work is a bunch of activist groups have made a plea to the Department of Justice that when a voter file email is sent to the Secretary of State, the copy of the email seems to be sent to someone, Waqas Butt, who is the CEO of Cavtech Systems based in Pakistan, with links to the intelligence and the army. So how that case will be taken up would be very interesting. As far as Arizona is concerned, they recall that they wanted to do a hearing, so they're going ahead with their hearing, which is more a public hearing in terms of trying to understand, from what the objections to the voting process was. So I think we have reached, as you rightly said, we have reached a process where I think it looks like either it goes to the legislature or it is going to SCOTUS.
Sir, let's take a quick look at some other things that are coming on social media. Only one thing I wanted to mention, sir. Looks like there was a test done of the Dominion systems where 100 votes were given to cast to both Trump and Biden, and the result was astonishing that Biden got 113 and Trump got 87. Is this something that is a real thing, or is it just something that is doing the rounds in social media, sir?
Well, I think the simulation results, whether it is 1.13 to 0.87 in terms of the probability allocation on the voter counts. As you recall, there has been an issue on the vote patterns as well as the voter allocation. So I would not say that it is what you call a malice or whether it is a fake news that is spreading. There clearly is a problem. There are three specific problems on Dominion systems. One, which you have alluded to, which is the invalidity in terms of the allocation. Number two is that the fraudulent votes or the blank votes were assigned to Mr. Biden, not discarded. And number three, there was this abnormal spikes that they noticed, either as a result of the systems being open on the internet or when people were attempting to were using USB drives and uploading votes. This was noticed in Georgia, this was noticed in Nevada, this was also noticed in Michigan, right? So the story is that, to your point, yes, there seems to be clear inconsistencies which has not been quantified. Right now, the forensic analysis deals with two things. One is whether there was external connectivity. That's number one. Number two, whether the software had the potential to be compromised and whether there is potential for breaches, which can influence the counting patterns. I think that's what the current analysis is. So I think there's a lot of problems. There's another report which I've seen, which I don't want to report as yet, but we can see the whole these Dominion systems and so on. Besides, if you recall, the servers being in Germany and Spain, and then you have the systems being open to Iran and China, and open to internet connections. And in Georgia, somebody going around and putting USB drives, even including their photographs. So there's one more such major issue looming. Let's see how that plays out, and maybe we'll report tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Let's take a quick look at what is happening with coronavirus. Looks like there's again another spike that has happened. Sir, can you please update us on the worldwide situation, starting with the United States?
I think worldwide, one key headline, everywhere you touch is corona. Doesn't matter. Previously, Asia was left out, but since Thursday, Friday last week, now everybody is panicking from Japan, Korea, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia. Everywhere there seems to be spurt, but not at the same magnitude. But remember, these countries don't have huge hospital facilities and infrastructure. And similarly, I think that there is Europe, there's rising cases. I think in United States, we had on an average 100,000 cases rising over the weekend. So where we are in United States, we are about right now, as we speak, we are about 15 million cases and, inching close to 300,000 deaths. Having said that, about 8.9 million people have recovered and about 6 million people active cases. But even with an active, more serious cases are, relatively smaller in number. India seems to be doing exceptionally well. India is inching towards the 10 million number. I think they're about 9.6 million, relatively smaller number, 141 deaths. And mind you, their active cases is close to 400 or less than 400. So India has done a remarkable job in terms of managing this. I think the next on the list is Brazil. They also seem to be, containing. There's about 6.6 million cases in Brazil, right? So there seems to be, and they've cured, and the active cases is only less than 500,000 and 170,000 deaths. Where we are with the programs, I think that the US is ready to kind of launch its program. They just revised the numbers, 20 million to be vaccinated by end of the year, and then 100 million, the number goes from February to March, April. So there were a massive program to vaccinate in March, April. Pfizer and BioNTech is the one which is getting expedited. This is the 2-dose mechanism, the initial small dose and then the larger dose. They expect by last night, the news is that in Q2 in the United States, anybody at will who choose to be vaccinated will have access to vaccine in Q2. That means the supply would have dramatically increased. UK is launching this week. They've already assigned Pfizer BioNTech to launch the program. Then you have Russia with its Sputnik. They're commencing the vaccination program. I think India is ready. The world is ready also with apparently this Pfizer BioNTech requires cold storage facilities. So people are ramping up their cold storage infrastructure facilities besides the distribution capabilities. Okay, they're doing that. India, I'm told, is contemplating something like 100 Indian Air Force planes and helicopters to do the distribution and also come up with augmented cold storage facilities. I think the moment Moderna gets cleared and the equivalent versions in India and other places, you may see much more accelerated kind of model in terms of the vaccines. But the challenge is how do you kind of persuade and convince people? So many political leaders are raising their hand and saying, "Yeah, we are going to vaccinate ourselves first, so the world follows us."
Thank you, sir. Let's take a quick look at the global news. First off, I'd like to lead with the Norwegian or Norway's Deputy Central Governor appointment, Jan Nicolaisen. His appointment has been denied because of the links of his wife, who happens to be a Chinese national. Is this something that shows the depth to which China has infiltrated many systems in many countries, sir?
Well, I think that the word China, I think most certainly United States, and to some extent, limited extent, what's happening in Asia has certainly sent alarm bells ringing, around the world on the ability of China to penetrate because everything works on a trust basis. So, in the case of Jan Nicolaisen, he has a Chinese wife, and she did not pass the security clearance. I'm assuming that gets married and he's fine, and whether the full background was checked, was not sure. So therefore, he has stepped down. She did not pass the security clearance. Now, that has cascaded its way into a number of countries. But I'll pass for a minute and then pass it to you to kind of whether we want to go further on this.
Sir, let's just park it for a moment because we have so much to cover. What is happening in Hong Kong, sir? U.S. is making some counter moves against the Chinese government, and it looks like now we are seeing a trickle of companies move from Hong Kong into Singapore.
Yes, as far as Hong Kong is concerned, Joshua, and Agnes Yu, the arrest of the two activists and the suspension of the Legislative Council members who are pro-democratic has sent again warning bells because they've had a series of incidents from suppression of demonstrators to the suspension of democracy in the Legislative Council. So there's a growing fear that the draconian regime is going to be back. So as a result, U.S. first imposed some sanctions on limited number of people. It delisted Hong Kong as a preferred destination. As we speak, there is a ban that has been imposed on 12 Chinese CCP leaders as a response to the continued draconian measures of CCP. And institutions are beginning to move. The first set of industries that are moving naturally is the finance, because Hong Kong is a major finance center. So first set, I think that Deutsche Bank and one more institution which has not yet gone public with its name. So two institutions, and we may see more exodus happening from Hong Kong as a result of this. And Singapore is certainly one of the destinations. Japan is also vying for the same, and Korea is also vying for the same. But it looks like Singapore is the first port of call for many of these institutions to kind of migrate.
So let's take a quick look at what is happening with India. First off, thanks to United States help, India is now developing an integrated naval architecture, including drones and helicopters, to expand its presence in the Malacca Straits, in the Indian Ocean, and so on. What can you tell us about that, sir?
Well, I think that it's quite phenomenal that India has now got access to the McDonnell Douglas helicopters. Then they have a whole suite of drones and the naval software architecture, which is being implanted into the air as well as the ships. basically to combat any potential threats that comes from the submarines. Chinese submarines are considered to be very superior and major threat in both Pacific, Indian Ocean, as you said, Malacca Straits, and so therefore, I think that what you're saying is that silently and subtly, India has revamped its architecture. India has also revamped its architecture in the Ladakh region. There was also another $25 million worth of sale just completed with various kind of software and other services. That is the category that is given to revamp. So clearly, while these things go on, India-US is on the march in terms of beefing up and preparation for any contingencies that can arise during this intervening period of uncertainty when there is a transition in power.
Sir, quickly, sir. Next one. Nepal's foreign minister is slated to visit India. Is there a thaw in relations with Nepal?
No, I think the Nepal relationship is fantastic. I think that they're smoothened. There seems to be moving towards normalcy after 3 visits. One, the foreign secretary, then the armed forces head, as well as the national security advisor. The foreign minister of Nepal is coming to visiting India for broadening some of the dialogue around the trade. They've also reset the border, so there's no border dispute as well. So I think along with Bhutan and Nepal, India is moving well with its Himalayan kingdom neighbors. While China may be a bit distracted. So I think that's moving along very well. Since you raised India, I think Indian economy contracted by about less than the predicted 9% to minus 7.5%. They expect a higher growth in the next year. So therefore, I think that's also seems to be doing well.
Sir, let's take a quick look at markets and economy. We are 17 minutes into the program. 1 minute for $908 billion stimulus program. Looks like Mitch McConnell is beginning to get on board with that idea.
I think is getting on board with the idea as a negotiating tool. I believe that there is an imminent stimulus. Okay, that we can now safely assume before Christmas there will be a stimulus because President Trump has agreed. Mitch McConnell is agreeing to. The Republican senators are agreeing to. And Nancy Pelosi is saying that she is willing to compromise in the interest of people because stimulus is badly needed in COVID. So we may have a number somewhere between 700 to 900 billion dollars, and the stimulus package will be rolled out. The markets, to wrap up, markets rose 248 points on the back of some very positive kind of economic results over the weekend on Friday. And the S&P is up, the Dow is up. Surprise, the 10-year rates are at 0.97. If you recall, 2-3 weeks ago, we were at, about a month ago, we were about 0.71. That shows that there is movement in the bond rate. So therefore, all means and the forecast for 2021 is pretty good. So that's on the markets and economy side.
So lastly, on tech, looks like Tesla is moving away from California to Texas.
Yeah. So, I'm very sad to say that you folks have to do much better, Mr. Sree Iyer, with your tax structures and so on in California and labor laws, because I think costs have been one of their big problems. If you recall, even Elon Musk had written to the people that they really need to look at the costs and bring the costs down to improve the margins. So he seems to be moving towards Florida. There was also a rumor that he was apparently has made a statement that he's open to a merger with Daimler. So these are the 2 major news items from Tesla is concerned.
Thank you very much, sir. That brings us to a close to our weekday program. We'll be back as always tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and also to donate to our cause. Namaskar and thank you very much.
Namaskar. Have a wonderful week and have a great Monday.